We zijn hier op Eurosonic Noorderslag om te praten over alle belangrijke en hete topics in de muziekindustrie. Als er één ding is waar we hier niet meer over praten, dan is het piraterij. We zitten niet meer te klagen over dat de wereld kapot gaat aan het illegale downloaden. We zijn eigenlijk hier om verder te kijken. We hebben inmiddels Spotify, Deezer, allerlei platforms waar mensen inmiddels gretig gebruik van maken. En we zijn hier ook om te kijken wat je daar eigenlijk verder nog mee kan. We hebben hier een unlikely couple. Erik van Eerdenburg van Lowlands, Will Page van Spotify. Welcome guys.
Thank you.
Eric, to start with you. What are you guys doing together? Teaming up?
We actually bumped into each other here at Noorderslag last year. And we started thinking about what we could do together because we didn't really have an idea. But then later on we decided to investigate what the actual use, the amount of plays are before, during and after a festival of a certain selected amount of acts we took out of the billing. And then later on we did a research, an email out to the people that bought a ticket.
Yeah.
And with the question if they wanted to do a survey. And that's basically what we did.
And what were the results of that?
Well, the results were that we know now exactly, we know more than we knew already before in detail what a festival does to the amount of attention an artist is getting from this audience.
Yeah.
Like First Aid Kit came out as a winner. They had an increase of plays of 138%.
Yeah. People didn't really know them.
Compared to before the festival.
And that's just plays in Holland.
That's plays in Holland.
And you need that data from Spotify to make that investigation.
Yeah, and the difference with the old age is yes, people would buy a record, but you didn't know what they would play. Yes, record sales could go up, but what are people actually? What is the engagement, the real engagement of the audience with these artists? And that comes to surface much clearer now than in the past.
Yeah, I can imagine you'd like to have lots of data. I mean, not only from Spotify, but a lot of things. You'd like to make a tailor-made festival of the things that people actually want to hear in the Netherlands, right? Are you looking towards more and more data to use also in advance of the festival?
Well, data is in itself is nothing. You can only measure numbers. So if you want to make a festival, you still have to have dedicated people that know what a scene likes and what they don't like.
Yeah.
You have to a lot of gut feeling to put the program together. So it can be supportive, but it can never be leading, I think.
No. There's Dutch artists like Yellow Claw or Ronnie Flex who have lots of streams on Spotify and YouTube, for instance, and who are still not playing a festival like Lowlands.
That has to do with other stuff. You know, also, does it fit the bill? Have they done already 50 shows before Lowlands or not? You know, of course we're looking at the amount of plays as well, and also we look at the engagement in the clubs, and we look at a lot of different things. And data on itself is not enough to decide to book an act. Will Page, who is from Scotland and lives in London, asked me, well, Marco Borsato has high numbers in Holland. I said, well, yeah,
why don't you book him?
Yeah, that's what he actually asked this morning. I said, well, the numbers are all right, but and Marco is all right, but not for Lowlands.
Yeah. Well, that's a good example. Well, sure. I'm very interested. What's in it for you?
So, meeting Eric at 3 o'clock in the morning in a dark, dingy music venue last year at Eurosonic, there are many conversations you have at that time of day, but one that we had was, we just wanted to know what happens, because we knew we were huge in Holland. We often talk about Holland as our first non-Scandinavian success story. We're really, really proud of that.
Yeah.
And we knew a lot of people going to festivals had Spotify, so one of the big learnings was just how many, and we learned that over 2/3 of the people in Eric's field have the album in their pocket. That's really important. That's different from an ownership model, different from a CD or an iTunes model. When that band is coming off stage and that audience wants instant gratification, they can get that instant gratification. An interesting perhaps quirky response from the surveys was over half the people using Spotify at festivals used it to see bands that they didn't see at the festival, which is a classic conundrum.
What is it? Things they heard, their friends saw?
Yeah, their friends were at this stage. You should have been at this jazz stage. This artist blew me away. Now, in the past, that opportunity might have been lost. I never wrote down the name of the band. I forgot about it. It just passed me by. But with Spotify, and again, reiterating that point, instant gratification, that moment's locked, and that engagement could lead to seeing that band on the future when they're touring smaller venues or seeing them next time around at Lowlands. So that was a big thing.
Are you teaming up with other festivals, events to do stuff like this?
So we've never done anything quite like this, and we are immensely grateful to Eric and his team for cooperating on this. I mean, Eric made a point, you can have lots of data, but what's the use of it? And what I realized is we need to learn the questions that Eric and his team are asking and produce relevant Spotify answers from those types of questions. But we have Kate Marriage here for Eurosonic this year as well, and she'll be talking about the other activities we've done at festivals as well, such as Roskilde, where we're seeing activation rates on our Spotify app of like 95%. We're doing some incredible stuff at festivals on the ground, but we've never done anything like this in our company's history in terms of analysis.
As I said before, we're not talking about piracy at this conference. It's just dead. There's no panel about
first time ever
all the threads. Yeah, I think so.
We're turning that frown upside down.
Yeah. Why is that now? I mean, what's the turning point?
Well, the interesting turning point we announced last year is that the Dutch recorded music industry grew. What we were able to do working with Buma Stemra, your collecting society and one of the best collecting societies, and NVPI, your trade body, is calculate the value of live and calculate the value of recorded and put them side by side. And we saw quite a remarkable changing of the guard, if that expression translates, which is 10 years ago, which is not a long time in the music industry, recorded was much bigger than live. And then recorded went into free fall and live started exploding. And live is now twice the size of recorded. So last year we reported that in 2013 the recorded music industry grew. First time in over a decade. Mm-hmm. For a business that's halved in size, we see green shoots of recovery. And this year, we're really thrilled that we can announce that for the second year straight, the Dutch industry is growing again. So we have a live industry, which is in the best health it's ever been. Eric will be doing, 20 festivals this summer. And there's an appetite for that it's never been before. But we also have a recorded industry, which is getting into good health too. And
how much bigger is it? What's the growth?
I mean, we're looking at edging up by a matter of a couple of percentage points, which is remarkable, given that it's a business that's halved in size. So it's like you're getting off the seabed and back to growth.
There's turning points.
It's a turning point, and then if we're replicating what we did in Sweden, that can be expected to continue. So when Sweden started to turn in 2009-10, it kept on growing. And in 2013, Spotify turned Holland around, and in 2014, we've done exactly the same. So it's really good to be having some good news at Eurosonic and not bad news.
Yeah. Eric, I want to go back to you for a while because, I mean, we're talking about, you said 7, well, how many festivals? 7 summer festivals this year. You're not the only one. There's new festivals in Germany. There's new festivals everywhere. It's harder and harder to be in this competition, to get the bands people are talking about. I can imagine you want to step ahead of all your competitors and use anything that you can use, right? Is it hard to stay ahead?
Well, it's a very competitive business, but I'm of course we're looking at our competition, but we try to stick with ourselves and our ideas, and I think there's not a lot of good festivals. Not the way I like to go to a festival. So we try to use our imagination in the whole setting that we're creating. We're trying to get a good lineup, of course. That's the main thing. And
you've always said, last year you've said, we're not changing the idea of what Lowlands is. Of course you can change the way that you're approaching things with data and stuff like that. I also heard somebody say, well, why don't they just move the festival to a different part of the week and be ahead of the competition by putting it in a day that other people don't want to book?
Well, I've been looking into that.
Really?
Yeah. If everybody goes on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, why don't we do a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
You're in the holiday season, so people are...
Yeah. So that's not a bad idea. And you see that happen in the eastern of Europe, eh?
Yeah.
Croatia, Poland, they have festivals that are big festivals and get a good lineup because they change to another period in the week. And it's a big move, but
You're seriously
I'm
considering
open to
it.
it. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a way if that's the way to get a better lineup, yes, why not? You know, and the whole field of festivals, I think there must be some damage sooner or later. Also in Holland, there's too much. Yeah, it really is. There's too much. Yeah.
If I can quickly add to that point, coming from Britain and looking at to Eric's point about there's good festivals and there's average festivals, one of the things that British people differentiate Lowlands by is it's a festival about discovery. So you're not necessarily going there to see the headline band that you already have the album and have seen before. You're going there to get an element of surprise, and that's one of the things that I would differentiate a festival on. Am I going to see what I already know? Am I going there to take a chance? And Lowlands has that reputation of somewhere people go to take a chance, and that is where Spotify sits, which is discovery, taking a chance on a band you might not otherwise do.
Yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.